Welcome, Debbie.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
We've been talking the last couple of weeks about what does it mean to do relationships well,
Yeah.
and particularly how to love people.
Yeah.
I've just been really taken by your comment that we need to love people the way they need to be loved, and not the way we necessarily want to love them. Go on, what's that meant for you?
Yeah. Hi, Chris. It's a good question. I feel I'm in a season where I'm spending a lot of time with my family, and they have different ways of feeling loved. And so, for example, the good old 5 love languages. So my parents are really big on quality time, but I'm just not.
And so, out of my life.
No, not really. Once a month is good enough for me. But they'll express that they don't feel I'm loving them well because I'm not spending the time that they need to feel loved. So the big question I've been asking myself is, just because I send a letter or buy them a gift, and because that's how I receive love, that's not loving them well because they're not receiving the love I'm trying to give. So I don't know. I feel like it's important to.
And there's a cost that comes with that, right?
Of course, yeah. It can be inconvenient, and I think when we are pre-set to be selfish, you kind of have to intentionally work against your own desires and be present and love people how they receive love, which will take time, like to get to know them and understand their needs, which is quality time.
So you're learning a lot, right?
I'm learning a lot. Yeah, it takes sacrifice as well.
And what have you seen as kind of the hallmarks that that's happening, or the ways in which you can say, actually, I can see that I'm beginning to love people better?
Yeah. So I think there's 2 levels. So I think when it comes to my interpersonal relationships, they will let me know. So they will, audibly or verbally say, I'm feeling loved by you, I'm feeling seen, and I feel that you're present in our conversations. Because that's another thing, just because I'm speaking with you, I may not be present, and you may not feel that I'm taking in what you're saying, and you don't feel heard. So when they say that they feel heard and they feel that I'm being present, I know that they're feeling loved. And then I think we spoke about loving the unlovable. So people outside of my quote unquote sphere, loving them well. It shouldn't matter if they tell me I'm loving them well. My job is just to give the love, and what they do with that love is between them and God. There's not much I can do. My job is just to love people.
Love doesn't need an agenda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what does it look like? And I think I almost feel like there are 2 levels of that. There's loving unlovables that are not kind of close to us or in our sphere. Yeah. And then there's loving those people who, frankly, don't deserve anyone's love.
Yeah.
And in fact, the way they act would be contrary to the way we want anyone to act.
Yeah.
How do we show love in a way that isn't kind of weak or just condoning their activity, but is still kind of offering the person of Jesus into their lives?
Ooh.
Enjoy that one.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Okay, do you know what I think it is? I think we live in a big cancel culture at the moment. And so as a millennial who a lot of my life is online, I think we have this like echo chamber of moral high grounds where we do believe we're always right and we're always righteous. And so when people do bad things, we somehow think they're not deserving of love or second chances. So I think what helps me is I always have to remember, well, Jesus died for you while you were still a sinner. Right. And so somehow someone else isn't worthy of love or forgiveness because you're somehow better. That hits home all the time. But then also it's not loving to love someone and not challenge them or not to convict them when they're doing wrong things. So I don't know. I don't think I've got it all sorted out, but I kind of start from the assumption that I'm also not perfect, but Jesus loved me enough to die for me. So that's the lens I should be viewing people with, which will mean loving people that I typically wouldn't love, or listening to points of views I typically wouldn't entertain, and not canceling everyone who disagrees with me.
I mean, we could leave. Like we could leave it here and go, great interviews. Brilliant. But it could also be really vague and fuzzy.
Yeah.
Okay, give me your top 3 practical tips. How are you going to love someone this week?
Oh, goodness me. Okay. Number 1, I will spend time with my mother and make her a meal.
Yes.
I don't cook much.
Feel free to love me that way as well.
If I cook for you, that's a big one. That's real love. So I will spend time with her and be present and ask how she's doing and actually listen and not just speak at her, but listen to her. Secondly, I will. Okay, so this is. I don't know. So I drive around a lot, and I've noticed there's a lot more beggars in Nairobi. And this is something that always makes me feel so uncomfortable because you're always tempted to just pull up your windows and just pretend you can't see anything. And I don't know, I know that's not the right thing to do. So one of my friends suggested this, which I thought was brilliant. So she has a bag of bread in her car.
Right.
And just bread. And every time she meets a beggar, she will just give them food instead of giving them money, which I thought that's super practical. And that's something totally doable. So I will do that. And when I drive past my junction and meet that one guy who always follows me, he's like, Madame. I will give him bread and, maybe we'll chat and see what's going on with him. And then I think the third way will be, I have a friend here right now who's going through a lot of things. And I think she maybe needs me to be present, not to necessarily say much, just to be physically present, because physical presence is her love language. So I will make time, which is sometimes hard for me because I like my own time. So I'll make time to just be present and let her know I'm there.
I think that's so important. I don't know you, I feel like we live in an age where our time is so pressed.
Yeah.
That actually to step outside of that.
Yeah.
To have the capacity even to think about how we can love others takes effort before we even begin to do it. So I think you're right. Creating time and space is so valuable. And as we close, as you've done that, what have you seen as the benefits of doing that?
Oh, that's a good question. I feel at peace. I feel like less anxious about things generally. I don't know the science between loving and being loved and anxiety. I don't know. But then more so, I've realized to love people well, I also need to be loving myself. And I do believe this is a Bible thing. Love your neighbor as yourself. So the more time I spend loving people, I can only do that when I'm also loving myself well. So I don't know. I feel like the more I love people, the more I feel that I'm also being true to myself and authentic to myself. And then I feel like I'm loving myself. And then secondly, I don't feel as much anxiety and I don't feel as lonely. I don't feel as lonely and I don't feel as alone as I typically would when I'm being selfish and a hermit.
In a generation that craves connection. To find authentic community is so powerful.
Hard. Yeah, it's hard.
Debbie, thanks so much for joining us. It's been brilliant.
Thanks for having me.
We'll invite you back relatively soon. No, I'm joking.
Thanks for having me.
No, it's great. Thank you.